Yo, yo, yo. What's up? It's been a minute, right? Unlatched Podcast. I don't even remember where I put my mic at in terms of how loud my mic should be. Um, for anybody that shows up or watches the replay, I want to say thank you. Today, Dynamicist will be here, he said, shortly. So it'll be a few minutes, or I don't know. But I want to be committed. Um, and one thing I will say, he and I've been doing this podcast for a little while, and the desire for me to do the podcast is just not like it used to be, right? And he and I were joking. We have this like ongoing joke. It's like it could be the smallest thing, the slightest thing, and we'll be like, "Oh, we can't do the podcast, or we don't feel like it." Right? Um, when it comes to being a content creator, I mean, there's work involved. And people work really hard at creating good content, and I do the work to keep it a buck. What's up, sissy? Hi, Tia. So I do the work. Dynamics just suits up and shows up, right? Which I'm happy with because he's also part of the talent because that Negro can talk, okay? And he's opinionated. So us together make a great team. Okay, so with that being said, so I really I don't know how much longer we're going to do the podcast. And so what I told Dynamicist is that what I am going to do, and he agreed, is that I'm going to give it 4 weeks. And what that means, and then we'll get started with the topic, which is going to be Karmelo Anthony for a minute. But, and I plan to be here tonight for about an hour. Okay. Whatever. I'm not going to be here all night. Okay. Nothing to do with y'all, but it gets late and, whatever. So 4 weeks committed. I'm giving it, let's just say 80%. Okay. Meaning I'm going to be here on Wednesday for the next 4 weeks at this time. Okay. And we're going to see how it goes. And if something sparks and we get another boost and some energy, then we'll keep it going. If for any reason we don't and it's just lackluster, I'd rather just not boot up. I literally, at my computer right now, I literally do not sit here unless I'm doing the podcast. Like this chair goes into another room and I leave this space open for me to exercise or do whatever. But I don't even turn my computer on unless I'm doing this podcast. So literally when I came to, how many times am I going to say literally? God damn. But anyway, literally, when I came and set this computer, when I turned it on, it was the last podcast clips. And I was like, what the hell? Okay. So anyway, here we are. So now, with that being said, I was thinking, like, should I play a song or what should I do? I'm not sure. I just didn't even feel like doing that, to be honest, like playing a song. So I didn't even boot up my speaker. So I'm not gonna play any music. Hi, Dynamicist.
Oh, what's happening? What's happening, chat? What's happening, everybody, man? Thank y'all for coming through again. My apologies. I'm on daddy duty. So, hey, we got to get to it.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. So I was just telling them we're giving it 4 weeks to see if we get some energy behind the podcast and a little boost. And if we do, we'll be here longer. And if we don't, we won't. So Truth said the podcast was a music podcast first. So my statement to that is the podcast is the podcast, right? So the podcast really didn't have anything to do with the music. So me doing podcast came because of the Kents with their idea of Jason and I, Dynamicist and I coming together, right? That's how that was birthed. That's the word I was looking for. The music was just something I would do personally by myself. Um, and I would just drink, get drunk, and play music because I love music. Now, even sober, I love music. I still do, but I don't have the desire to play it and kind of like party the way I did with the music. Also, the music, I'm going to be honest with this too. The way that YouTube flags us, um,
Every time.
it's no fun.
Yeah.
Susan, you're just in the other chat. There, I have two chats going. One has 23 people watching. Oh, they both do. Okay, but I don't know, Susan. You're not by yourself. Now, you may be the only Caucasian. Okay, only reason I'm saying that we're gonna be talking about Carmelo Anthony, so the shit about to get real. So I'm telling white people right now from Jump Street, I don't give a damn who you are. Hey, okay, you better have some thick skin, nigga. It ain't got to be dark skin, but it better be thick. Okay, that help me. See, where did that come from? What happened? I was doing so good, and Susan's never done anything. What? Ah,
But you know what? But it's not really for her. It's actually for any others that may be
hi,
watching. But
Yogi.
more importantly, though, I dig what you're saying. I
Okay,
dig it.
you dig. Hi,
What's
Yogi.
good, Yogi? What's good, Tia? Thank you, Susan. Truth be told, what it do, man. We appreciate y'all for sliding. We gonna get to it, man, because it's a lot. It's a lot on the agenda. We've been quiet for several weeks. I've been quiet personally. I'm still gonna be somewhat quiet because there's no more time for talking. I'm done. I am so over talking. I don't want to hear another motherfucking rally speech. I don't want to hear another motherfucking conversation topic that hits news. I don't want to have rehash these same dumbass conversations that we've been having over and fucking over since the 60s. And I say the 60s because that was when civil rights movement happened. I say the 50s and 60s because that was when we had prolific speakers talking about the shit that was going on within the black community, outside the black community, within the larger context of the American experience when it comes to the black American experience. We've had all the talks that you can ever have about that. So tonight we're going to touch on a very subject that is near and dear to a lot of our hearts because it's an example of just injustice. No, unjust behavior, but injustice,
Mm-hmm.
the absence of,
Yes.
because it is consistently this same narrative that we're having to replay over and over again. And at some point, you have to get to the point where you just say, listen, I don't like that tape. I've played this motherfucker front and back, A side to B side, for those who remember cassette tapes. Yogi, you remember that especially. Matter of fact, you remember Yogi specifically probably remembers. Let's not even go there. I'm not going to do it.
Listen,
I'm not going to do it.
Yogi had an 8 track. Period.
There we
Okay.
go.
I mean, listen, we're allegedly. Okay, Yogi is this guy right here. This is Yogi, guys. He has a channel of his own. He had an 8 track. Okay, okay, listen. So to your point, okay. So this is the thing. Right. Now look check this out. So I'm gonna
That's what I was
play.
gonna say. Truth was beta, Max.
I forgot
I
all
said,
about Beta. Oh my God.
I was gonna say beta. I said, nah, let me not even do him like that.
Don't do it. Okay, I'm mad. All right. Okay. We know. Okay, so look, so check it out. So, okay, now listen. Now, let me say this too before I play a video. Um, to your point, Dynamics is I think a lot of people feel that way, including myself. It's kind of like, where do we go before I'm mad that when I play this video, there's gonna be somebody that don't know what's going on, and let me tell you how I know that, because I went exercising this morning with a friend of mine, and I mentioned Karmelo Anthony, and she didn't know who I was talking about. Now, there's no judgment there, but my point in saying is that I'm not gonna assume everybody knows who this person is, but we're gonna work backwards, and um it's like when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to just saying the word civil rights is irritating. Like, I don't even, it's like, okay, we've been saying that. We've been saying that. Civil rights, they will let us say that in school because of Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. That's the only reason I know. So listen, the shit is played out at this point, and it's sad. And I'm gonna show you a video where uh who was this? Someone said, I forgot who it was. It wasn't DL, but they were like, we just, oh, it's a content creator I watch, but he was saying we just need to leave white people alone. I mean, really, at the end of the day, cut the shit. And I'm with it, like, to the point where yes, in our work environments, we gotta work, we gotta eat, and this is a broad statement, but it's like, listen, let them motherfuckers be over there. Let them be over there, because it's not set up to be fair. It's never going to be fair. So I don't know what the answer is, but I'm cool on it. Just let me do me. You stay your ass over there. I'll stay my ass over here. And some of you niggas too can stay over there. I don't give a damn about half of you motherfuckers, for real. And I've said that drunk and sober. Because it gets to a point where you cannot win. And that's how it feels. It feels like you just want to be in your little box and just let me survive and create a tribe of my own. And there are going to be people, I believe, dynamics is, I'm not going to say, because there are going to be people who are white or white presenting, who I believe can be part of the tribe. They might have to denounce their own people, but I mean, they can still come on over here if they're willing to do that. I don't know. So I'm not speaking in like absolutes here, but I'm speaking on a broader scale. But with that being said, let me say this. I'm gonna play a video if you're okay with that, Dynamics.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this one. This is short and to the point, but there's another one too. But this is not long, okay? But she breaks everything down and makes it pretty concise. Let me share my screen, guys. Oh yeah, so this is what we're talking about tonight, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Share screen. Okay, here we go. Allow. Here we go. Share.
A 17-year-old boy is dead. A 19-year-old boy just got 35 years in prison, and an entire country cannot agree on what justice even looks like. What's up, y'all? I'm Geraldine Lake, aka Indescribable, and today we're going beyond the tweets, the threads, the GoFundMe receipts, and the hot takes. We are getting into the facts, all of them, okay? The ones that are uncomfortable, the ones that got buried, and the ones that nobody on social media wants to talk about because the nuance does not fit in a 60-second clip. This is the Karmelo Anthony verdict, and we are breaking down every single layer. Stay with me because this is going to be a long one. Now,
It's not
before we
long.
talk about the verdict or race or the jury, I need you to understand who these two boys actually were, because they were both real people. They were both 17 years old. And I think that gets lost when a story becomes a national movement, right? Austin Metcalf was a 17-year-old student athlete from Frisco, Texas. He ran track. He had a twin brother named Hunter. He worked a part-time job at a pizza place. On April 2nd, 2025, he went to a track meet. He did not come home. Now, Karmelo Anthony was also a 17-year-old teenager at the time. He attended a different school than Austin, also in Frisco, but he had a 3.7 GPA. He was an A student, and he was the oldest of 4 kids. His defense attorney described him as 5 feet 8 inches and 130 pounds. He had enough credits to graduate. He actually received his diploma, but he was barred from walking at his own graduation ceremony. These were 2 teenagers who had never met before that day. Let that sink in, y'all. April the 2nd, 2025, Kirkendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. A Frisco Independent School District track meet is going on. Multiple schools are competing, and it starts raining. Now, I'm going to give y'all both sides of the story, the way it actually happened at the trial, okay? So, here's the prosecutor's version. Prosecutor said that Karmelo Anthony walked over to the Memorial High School tent, which was not his school's tent, but he sat down anyway. Austin Metcalf and others told him multiple times to leave. According to a police report, Anthony reached into his bag at one point and said, and I'm quoting this directly here, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf then pushed Anthony, and Anthony pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. Now, prosecutor Bill Worski told the jury that this is not self-defense, it's plain murder. Simple. Witnesses for the prosecution testified that Anthony was the aggressor in this particular situation. The defense's version was a little different. Attorney Mike Howard told the story that Karmelo walked around to get out of the rain. He recognized someone near that tent, and he went inside. And then he was physically confronted, but not just Austin, but his twin brother, Hunter, as well. Now, Howard pointed out the extreme size difference directly. Karmelo is 5'8", 130 pounds. I just said that. The Metcalf twins are 6'1", 215 pounds each. Howard's argument was that Karmelo acted out of fear, which I can understand. You know, he told the jury that Metcalf had no legal right to put his hands on Karmelo. Agreed. Here is what is not disputed. Austin Metcalf pushed Karmelo Anthony first. That part was confirmed by witnesses. What is disputed is what Karmelo's response should have been, and whether pulling that knife constituted as self-defense or murder. Now, the jury decided that it was murder. Y'all, Karmelo didn't run. After stabbing Austin, the surveillance footage showed him being chased near the edge of the stadium. He put his hands up immediately, and officers handcuffed him on the spot. He told investigators that he acted in self-defense. He was arrested and charged with murder, and then he was released on bail. Now, that's when the internet lost its entire mind, because the judge who approved the reduced bail amount was Collin County Judge Angela Tucker. Now, here's a detail that a lot of people glossed over. Judge Tucker is Black, and she faced a wave of threats and backlash for approving that bail. Now, that tells you everything you need to know about how heated this was and had already, had come to be. As a condition of this release, Karmelo was placed on house arrest with an ankle monitor, and he could not leave home without the judge's permission. Now, the fundraising, because this is one of the most talked about parts of the entire story. Anthony's family set up a Give, Send, Go campaign for his legal defense. It raised over $515,000 by May of 2025. GoFundMe campaigns for Austin Metcalf's family, started by his father and by the owner of the pizza restaurant where Austin worked, raised about $250,000 combined. Now, I want to be very careful here, because I know what people say about this, okay? But I need you to think critically. The fundraising gap does not automatically mean that one family is more deserving of sympathy than the other. What it does show is how quickly this case became a proxy war for something much bigger than 2 teenagers at a track meet. The trial began June 1st, 2026 in McKinney, Texas, in Collin County. It lasted 8 days, y'all. 8. Okay. The prosecution brought in a video analyst named Mark Porter from the Tarrant County DA's office as their first witness. He walked the jury through enhanced surveillance footage of the stabbing, frame by frame. The jury sat there and watched it all. They saw the exact moment that the stabbing occurred. During the punishment phase of the trial, which started almost immediately after the guilty verdict came in, Karmelo's mother took the stand. She was the only witness called by the defense at that stage. She asked the jury for mercy for her son. Karmelo was seen crying while she testified, and the judge instructed the jury to determine whether something called sudden passion played a role in what Karmelo did. Now, under Texas law, that matters because it affects the sentencing. The jury had the option to convict on the lesser charge of manslaughter, and they simply chose not to and went ahead with the conviction of murder. After about 2 hours and 20 minutes of deliberation, they sentenced Karmelo Anthony to 35 years in prison, y'all. He's eligible for parole after serving half of that sentence. He faced anywhere from 5 years to life, and they gave him 35. After the sentence came down, Austin Metcalf's family gave victim impact statements directly to Karmelo, which is crazy because I don't want you talking to my child. But anyway, his mother, Megan, said, "We will never know what our future could have been for journalists, activists. This is a story, but for our family, this is our reality." His father, Jeff, slammed his fist on the table and said, "People think grief is sadness, but it's not. It's rage. It's pure, unfiltered rage." And Austin's twin brother, Hunter, also spoke. I don't care where you stand on the rest of this case, okay? That family lost a child. Those words deserve to be heard without commentary from me, okay? Now, I told you that I was going to be direct about this. So here we go. Race was not officially part of this trial, but it was absolutely present in every single room surrounding it, okay? Let's start with the jury. Out of a pool of 600 residents, 0 Black jurors were selected. 0. The trial proceeded with an all-white jury. Now, legally, the defense had the opportunity to challenge the jury composition, and they simply didn't block the trial from moving forward. But that does not mean that Black people in Black communities were wrong to look at that jury and feel some kind of way. One woman outside the courthouse after the verdict came down said that not one Black soul on a jury at all, and a white jury convicted him in 2 to 3 hours. That is a direct quote from someone at the scene. And whether you agree with her conclusion or not, her feeling is not irrational given the history of this country. The Next Generation Action Network, which is the largest human and civil rights organization in North Texas, and which served as a spokesperson for the Anthony family throughout this entire case, expressed extreme disappointment with the verdicts and called for an appeal, citing concerns about the fairness of the trial. The Collin County NAACP also responded. And then there's Collin County itself. SMU professor Rick Halpern, scholar Michael Phillips, and Hadi Jawad, who is the co-founder of Human Rights Dallas, published a piece specifically about Collin County's documented history of racism and extremism. They drew a direct line between that history and the environment in which this trial took place. Now, that is not a social media hot take or a think piece. Those are academics and civil rights leaders naming something very, very real. Okay, outside of the courthouse, it was complete chaos. Law enforcement was called to break up confrontations on both sides. Now, here's my honest take, and I want to be clear that this is simply just my perspective, okay? This case was never just about 2 teenagers in a tent at a track meet. It's never that simple. It became a stand-in for every unresolved conversation this country refuses to have about race, about who gets to be seen as a threat, about who gets the benefit of the doubt, about which boy gets mourned and which one gets demonized. A research expert quoted in News Nation said, "Interracial cases of violence have historically been used as proxies for broader symbolic and systemic issues of injustice." And they noted that public perception of violence literally shifts based on the race of the victim and the offender. That's not an opinion, y'all. This is documented research, okay? Now, does that mean that Karmelo should have walked away scot-free? Absolutely not, because all of our actions do have consequences. What I am saying is that we cannot pretend that the racial dynamics of this case did not shape how it was covered, how it was discussed, and possibly how it was judged. You can believe Austin Metcalf deserved justice and still ask some hard questions about whether the system delivered it fairly. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, okay? I started this video by saying that a 17-year-old boy is dead and a 19-year-old boy just got 35 years in prison. And I want to end it the exact same way because no matter where you fall on this, both of those facts are true at the same time, and both of them are equally devastating. Austin Metcalf went to a track meet and just never came home. Karmelo Anthony, who was 17 years old at the time, on the day that this happened, he's going to spend at least the next 17 years in prison. He'll be nearly 40 when he first becomes eligible for parole. 2 families destroyed, 2 communities divided, and a country that still has not figured out how to have an honest conversation about race and justice without it becoming a full-blown war. I don't have a clean bow to put on this. I don't think that one exists. What I do think is that we owe it to both of these boys and to ourselves to stay in the discomfort instead of retreating into whatever feels safest at the moment. If this video made you think, please share it. Drop your thoughts in the.
Okay, so that was her take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I saw you right. Why didn't they challenge it? So I heard, Charleston White. He was putting out a lot of videos. So he is supposedly he knows the family or is close with the family, but they said they've already filed the appeal. It's already been filed. And they said that they did not challenge it on purpose, allegedly, to strengthen the appeal. They're trying to get the case out of that district or out of that place. They wanted it to be unfair as it was, so that
because
could get up out of there. Which makes it. I mean, too bad it's chess. I mean, it's that's what I guess law is. What do you call it when you go back and forth? Strategic. It's strategic. Okay, so check this out. So Dr. Umar a year ago did an interview like he always does, and he called it hi SD. He called it then he talks about, which we already know, like I'm gonna play a little bit of that too, because these are clips that I found interesting.
There's no way to make that make sense, man. We know what that is. And I think that's the point we gonna have to come to that conclusion. Across the board though. Mm-hmm. Across the board, we're gonna have to come to that conclusion. Because you can't keep pissing on me and telling me it's rain. At some point, I've just got to acknowledge the facts. Because what's right for some, it's not right for all. And I actually studied that in political science initially when I was going to pursue a law degree. And I had a dope white professor. He's a young professor. He had to be in his late 20s at the time. But dude didn't pull no punches and put us up on all types of information that you typically would gloss over. And one of those was that. He brought that up. Disproportionately, Black people are going to be affected negatively in this legal system. It's already known. The question is, what the fuck are you going to do about it? How are you going to deal with that? Because that's the questions that he said you need to be answering now. Because there is a problem. But how are you going to address that problem? Because this is the one that exists. That came from a white professor that talked about what the disproportionate rates that Blacks are going to even this was back in the early 2000s. That shit is still going on now. This is over 20 years later.
Right.
Still going on. But go ahead and let's get to the video, because I actually I think between him, Charleston White, I've actually appreciated their perspective because
Yeah,
their perspectives have been what needs to be said.
right.
All this tiptoeing, tap dancing, all this trying
I want
to.
also I wanted to share this with you too, Jason. This other clip. It'll piss you off, but it's a white male interviewing the guy who was representing with the family, a preacher dude. But anyway, neither here nor there. Now listen to this. Let me share this screen. Now this is a year ago. Okay. Now you know he don't play no games. So here we go.
Oh, I saw this interview.
I'm not gonna play the whole thing,
Carmelo
but listen to
Anthony.
this.
You know, Art, if you go back and take a look at the slave codes in all of the original 13 colonies, and if you look at the slave codes in any of the slave states of America, you will find that Black men or women never had a right to defend themselves against a white assailant.
Listen to this shit.
You could not fight back against your slave master, nor could you fight back against any white person for any reason. If they raped you, you couldn't fight back. If they hit you, you couldn't fight back. If they steal from you, you couldn't fight back. If they tried to sell your child away illegally, you couldn't fight back. So we need to understand something. White America, going back to the plantation, white America has always felt, Art, that they have absolute jurisdiction over the Black body. This goes back to slavery when they owned us. They owned us. Old habits die hard. And since you have a legacy in this country, a custom and a culture where Black people don't even have the right to protect their own body, you get this situation that we are dealing with now with our 17-year-old brother down in Frisco, Texas, Karmelo Anthony. Now, first, white folks, when they heard about this situation, they automatically tried to paint him like a criminal, but that didn't work, Art, because he's a 3.73 GPA student. He's the captain of at least 2 sports teams. He has no prior criminal history. And then they said, well, he's just another little ghetto boy. That didn't work, Art. He comes from a 2-parent home where they work and they live in an affluent suburban part of Frisco, Texas. So the ghetto narrative that the media likes to paint on Black men accused of physical violence did not work with Karmelo. So what do we know about this case? Karmelo Anthony was at a track meet. Some people claim it was a district track meet. Others claim it was a community track meet, but children from the district were there. I don't know for sure. It'll come out in court as to whether this was a school district track meet or whether this was a community track meet that simply included children from the school district. I don't know for sure. Then they say the weapon used in this self-defense act was a knife. Some people saying it was not a knife, but it was a tool that is used to clean cleats. We don't know.
Now we know.
We will have to see
a 5-inch blade
when the case takes place in trial. However, Art, what we do know is it was raining that day at the track meet. It was raining. Karmelo wanted to escape the rain. And as you know, Art, when it's raining and you want to escape it, you'll run to the closest tent you can find. It don't matter if it's your school's tent. It don't matter if it's my school's tent. It don't matter if it's your team's tent. It don't matter if it's the other team's tent. I don't want to get soaking wet, so I'm going to go sit under a tent. I'm not bothering nobody. I'm minding my business. I'm just trying to keep dry. So then the 2 Hunter boys see him. Hunter and Austin. And they decide to approach and engage Karmelo. Now, the media is being dishonest about this situation, Art. The media is claiming that this was a 1-to-1 fisticuff between Hunter, okay, and Karmelo. I'm going to say between one of the brothers because I keep getting the names mixed up. I believe it was Hunter, and I do want to say rest in peace to him. My condolences to his father, his family. Nobody deserves to lose a child. Black, white, red, yellow, or brown, nobody deserves to lose a child, not at that age, regardless of who fault it was. I'm sorry they lost their child. Condolences to the family. So R.I.P. Hunter comes and engages Karmelo with his brother Austin. Hunter and Austin tell Karmelo, you're under the wrong tent. Get from under the tent. Karmelo says, I'm just trying to stay dry or get dry. Leave me alone. Hunter, rest in peace, smacks the phone out of Karmelo's hand. He smacks the phone out of his hand, and the other brother, Austin, allegedly, goes to get his book back. Now, Art, I want to put this in perspective for you, Art. Karmelo Anthony is 160 pounds. Rest in peace, Hunter is 225-pound football player. Hunter is nearly 60, 70 pounds heavier than Karmelo by himself. But he was not by himself, Art. Hunter was with his brother Austin. Austin is around Hunter's size as well. So what you have in this situation, Art,
none of that's been
is a 160-pound skinny black boy minding his business. And here comes two racist white boys who decide that they're going to remove this black boy from their tent with force. So you got to ask yourself something, Art. If I'm a 160-pound black boy, two white boys in racist Texas, both of whom are 60 to 70 pounds heavier than me, they come to accost me physically, knock my phone out my hand, try to grab my bag, try to throw me out. The media is making you think it's only one. But guess what, Art? I've been text messaged by eyewitnesses. I have received text messages from eyewitnesses. And you know what they told me, Art? They said both brothers tried to jump Karmelo. Both brothers tried to jump Karmelo. This was not a one-on-one fight. It was 2-on-1, but Austin doesn't want to tell the truth because if he tells the truth, Art, that helps Karmelo to establish his right to stand his ground. In the state of Texas, Art, you have the right to stand your ground. You know what that means? That means you have no duty to flee when you are approached by somebody trying to harm you. In the state of Texas, you do not have to run. In the state of Texas, if somebody is approaching to harm you, you have no duty to run. And if you feel that your life or safety is in imminent danger, you have a right to defend yourself, to include using deadly force. So when you hear people say, why didn't he run? First of all, it was raining. So I assume the ground was wet. These two boys, troublemakers, respectfully, but they were troublemakers. They were athletes, so I'm sure they could run as well. But more than that, Art, Texas's stand your ground law did not require Karmelo to run. He had a right to stand and defend himself. And I'm going to say that if I am Karmelo Anthony's lawyer, I am arguing to the jury. My client felt that his safety was in imminent threat, that he felt he was about to be harmed by two football playing brothers, both of whom weighed 60 to 70 pounds more than him, and with a combined weight, Art, of nearly 500 pounds. A combined weight, these two brothers, Austin and Hunter, of nearly 500 pounds against this one skinny 160-pound black boy, Karmelo. Under those circumstances, Art, I believe that he had a right to stand his ground. If I'm 160 pounds and two football playing brothers with a combined weight of more than 400, nearly 500 pounds are coming to jump me, and I'm only 160 pounds, and I'll warn them, touch me again and see what happens. He's warning them, Art. He's warning them. I don't want no trouble. But if y'all think y'all going to hurt me and do damage to me, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect myself. And according to the law, Art, he was within his right to do so. I don't think he intended to kill the brother. I think he just intended to jab him so he would back off. But when you are afraid, when you are scared, when you are timid, when you are fighting for your life, Art, you will do anything. How many women have shot and killed domestically abusive husbands and didn't do it on purpose? How many women have shot and killed domestically abusive husbands, but they didn't do it on purpose? They did it out of fear that I need to act before he acts. And if I miss, I might die. He could have been beat to death that day, Art. Karmelo Anthony could have been beat
and we
to
wouldn't
death
have heard
that
nothing
day,
about it if
and
he
instead he chose to stand his ground. So what's the problem then, Art? Why are white folks all up in arms over this? Y'all wasn't up in arms when Breonna Taylor got murdered. Y'all wasn't up in arms when Trayvon got murdered. Y'all wasn't up in arms with Freddie Gray or Philando Castile or Tamir Rice or Sandra Bland. Y'all wasn't up in arms with Amir Locke, Sonia Massey. All these black people murdered by police and so-called vigilante white people. Y'all didn't say nothing about them. Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines, Art. Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines, bought a rifle, crossed state lines, unalived 2 people, injured many others, and he went home free. No conviction. George Zimmerman pursued Trayvon Martin with a gun, shot him in cold blood. He went home. No conviction. Daniel Penny choked our brother Jordan Neely to death in a New York City subway. Daniel Penny choked Jordan Neely to death in a New York City subway, Art. No conviction. Daniel Penny pursued Jordan Neely. George Zimmerman pursued Trayvon Martin. Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines and pursued trouble, and they went home without a charge. Karmelo Anthony was sitting under a tent so he couldn't get wet. He was sitting under a tent so he couldn't get wet, and 2 racist white boys, rest in peace to Hunter, condolences to his family. But these 2 racist white boys thought they had a right to forcibly move this black boy from that space. White people have always felt that they had jurisdiction over the black body. It goes back to the plantation days, Art. The problem with this case is the stand your ground law was meant for white people to be used against black people. The stand your ground law was meant for white people to be used against black people. It was never intended for black people to use the stand your ground law to defend themselves against white people. And guess what, Art? White people don't care whether or not Karmelo is justified or not. They don't care. Even if it is proven that Karmelo acted in self-defense, and it will be, they don't care. The problem with white folks is in this country, black people do not have a right to defend themselves from Caucasians. This is a 400-year-old practice. This is a 400-year-old norm. This is a 400-year-old culture. This is a 400-year-old custom, Art. So he not in court fighting against the law. The law is on Karmelo's side. The problem is, the basic problem of this case in Frisco, Texas, Art, is a black boy valued his own life enough. A black boy valued his own life enough to take the life of a Caucasian in order to defend it. And in American history, you rarely come across black men, let alone a child.
Yeah, I didn't think
who
about
valued his life enough
How
and
dare
had
you?
courage enough to defend himself against two racists who were trying to harm him. And let me say this, Art. People are talking about why did he have a knife?
I was one of
He's
them
a
at
black
first.
man in Texas. Why wouldn't he have a knife? Are they crazy? If you black in America, Art, you better be carrying something.
Yeah.
And check it
Hold
out.
on, but
Let
it's
me pause.
it's
It is perfectly
it,
legal
Sorry. Yeah,
to
go ahead.
before, and I know he's not from Texas. I lived there.
Mhm.
That's it's not just about protection. When you grow up in that type of environment, you actually use knives for a lot of shit. You use knives for you going fishing. You at a fishing hole. You out here. You walking through the woods. You use knives. Period. That's one of those early age things. As a matter of fact, I remember going to school. We were in grade school. Not only did we have cowboy boots, but you had a little switchblade. But it was used for, again, the whole cowboy mentality, Texas mentality. So again, I'm not saying that to steer his argument elsewhere,
Hmm.
but it's not inner city Chicago. That's not even why 90% of kids in Texas would have something like that, in if not on their person, in their bag, or even in their pickup truck. I lived in Georgia and everybody had one. I I get advertisements for knives that are on in your belt buckle, and it's a nice decorative belt buckle, but there's a knife in it, and it's used for, again, the last case scenario. Worst case scenario would be protection, but outside of that, it's a lot of shit. When you're a handy type of person, you do shit with your hands. Hey, I might need to tie off something. Might need to clip this off here, or whatever the case may be. You constantly have stuff like that. A 5-inch blade is not a machete. That's a standard size blade you use. Matter of fact, we use 7-inch blades to fillet fish.
Hmm. They
A
and
five
I
inch
saw
blade,
that the law was 5.5. So the law in Texas says you can't have a blade bigger than 5.5. And they said in the court that his was 5. So I'm only saying
yeah,
that to say once again, um
it was well within.
the boy didn't know, they didn't know each other, so it's not like he brought it with the intention on doing this. This is, like you said, had to be something he always had in his bag. Again, another myth was he shouldn't have it on school grounds. Let's be clear, they were not on school grounds. It was not school grounds. They were at a track meet, community track meet off of school grounds. So this whole idea he shouldn't have it, I mean, once again, this just okay. What do kids making adult decisions? Talk to me about that. Uh, do you have anything to say to that, SD? If you want to elaborate, you said that twice. I don't know if I'm missing something there.
Yeah, and and that'll be good
The
to
reason that
hear
you made.
his standpoint. Yeah, as far as that, I mean, is it this self protection? Is it the fact that he loves himself enough? What exactly was the adult decision that
Was
we're
it a
talking about?
decision? I mean, like it was, uh, or was it a reaction? I mean, a decision to me. I mean, I feel like when you feel attacked, and if that's what's going on here, I mean, I guess ultimately you have to decide to go in the back. Now he did say if you come close, you fuck around and find out. Basically, is what he
Hmm.
said. So
Right.
I don't know if that then makes it premeditated. I don't know, but okay, yeah, I would like to know more about that. Okay, now look at this real quick. Now I'm gonna pause him. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing him real quick. Now look at this shit right here. This shit I couldn't even finish watching. This was just today, okay? Let me share this tab here. This was today. I'm like, "Oh god, these people. I mean, these white folks are going in. They believe this shit from the core of their being, nigga. Like there is just no they are not fucking around with us. Period. And that Trump, the office, and what's going on now has these niggas geeked up for real. So look at this shit right here. This is a news station, a legitimate news station.
A Texas jury found 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in April of 2025 during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas. He was just sentenced to 35 years in prison. And to lay this all out for you, due to the rain, there was bad weather. The track events were delayed that day, and Anthony, a Centennial High School student, sought shelter under a Memorial High School tent. Moments later, an argument broke out, and Anthony was asked repeatedly to leave that tent. One witness claimed Anthony responded by calling the group a name before he reached into his backpack saying, quote, touch me and see what happens, end quote. After some shoving, Anthony pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, piercing his heart. Prosecutors argued that the killing was a provoked and unjustified murder. They called 21 witnesses. The defense argued it was self-defense. Karmelo Anthony did not testify in his own defense. Immediately after the jury's decision, protesters gathered outside claiming this was the latest example of Black lives not mattering.
But what this process did is shown that Black lives do not matter in Collin County. This trial showed that it put emotions over the law. After Trayvon Martin and so many countless names, it has shown us that Black life is not safe in Collin County.
Minister Dominique Alexander is the man that you just heard from in that video. He is a spokesman for the Anthony family. Minister, it's nice to have you on. You keep saying that Black lives don't matter, but no Black lives were lost here. A 17-year-old white person was killed. So what?
Nigga, 35 years?
What I'm talking about is 35 years.
Right.
Karmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years. Yet at the end of the day, Black America repeatedly is told that self-defense is a part of the law. That a knife under 5 inches is legal in the state of Texas. That stand your ground is legal here in the state of Texas. But when a Black person try to use those same basic rights and laws, then we're not afforded those things. We're doing those things unjustifiably.
Well, that's not what a jury found today. Can you tell me, I know you know Karmelo Anthony well, why did he bring a knife
That's
to a
what
track
they
meet?
determined.
I can't comment on that. What I can do, I can't speak for Karmelo Anthony, but I can tell you that the state of Texas made it legal. So at the end of the day, if a person got a problem with it, they might need to call Governor Greg Abbott and tell him, why does this state have open carry laws? Why does it have brass knuckles and etc. Right?
Stabbing somebody in the heart, though, sir, is definitely not legal. He could have just turned around and walked out of that tent at any moment.
And based on what you have been told about the situation, I can see how you can take that fact. But the levels of injustice that was done in this trial is not how I was told, right? But at the end of the day, that's the reason why we're going to go through a full appeals process to ensure that the facts are being told correctly. But me and you are going to go back and forth.
No, that's fine. Tell me. I'm curious. Tell me tell me what you think happened.
What I think is the situation is that someone asked Karmelo Anthony to come over there. He knew an individual, but that's not being told, right? It's like, oh, a kid just randomly went under a tent, right? And he just sitting there. No one knows who he is. That's not the case, right? We know that Karmelo Anthony knew an individual. He knew a coach. He spoke about it. We also know that Frisco ISD should have counseled that. This wasn't just raining. We were under a tornado watch that day, right? And this should have been something that was actually...
Wait, you're telling me that because somebody invited him to that tent and there might have been a tornado warning, which happened all the time in Texas, that he was warranted in stabbing a 17-year-old kid in the chest, in the heart, and killing him?
That's not...
Okay, first of all,
this is not what he said.
Journalist, it's like you're not doing
like me.
He's not. He is all in his feelings. He is going off. Look, he wants to jump through the screen. You're a racist.
That's not the case. But what you cannot do is put your hands on someone.
Well, you just told me that was the case.
No.
Is that the case? Because I want to know what the case is. I seriously do.
You asked me the first time, why was he under the tent or close or whatever it may be, right? The reality is that the state of Texas says that I don't have to, when I'm assaulted, I don't have to return the same level of force, correct? Isn't that the law?
Yeah, he was asked to leave that tent multiple times.
That's not what he
the
said.
prosecution called 21 witnesses. Hold on. The prosecution called 21 witnesses, and they all corroborated that. They all said that he was asked to leave the tent. There was no...
I don't give a fuck that he was asked to leave. What the fuck does that mean? I don't fucking have to leave, nigga. What the fuck you act like I'm in your home? Like you just because they're acting like because they asked him to leave, he was supposed to leave. Nigga, you were supposed to leave. He didn't want to leave. So now what? That don't give you the right to. I mean, this dude right here. I haven't seen this part, Jason, because as I was watching it right in the beginning, I was like, oh hell no, I gotta hold up. I mean, he's going in. Now this man here is close to the family. You saw him walking with him. He's been in the picture from the beginning. This is not just a random person he's doing an interview with. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how they do it. But anyway, I digress.
There might have been.
They all didn't have. No, sir. No,
he was asked to leave the tent, so he could have left that tent at any time. He chose not to. That's why he's going to jail for 35 years.
All 21 of them did not have the same story. They did not have the same story, and that's why so many people outside of that courtroom is outraged right now. If you look at anything about this case, all 21 of them did not have the same story.
Tell me about the defense witness, because the defense did not call Karmelo Anthony. If Karmelo Anthony truly thought he was innocent, he's 19 years old. He's not a kid. He's 19 years old. Why didn't he take the stand in his own defense? And why did the defense's only witness change their story on the witness stand?
Karmelo Anthony testifying in his own trial is his own right? And that's a decision that Karmelo Anthony and his parents has to make, right? And that was a decision that was made through the legal process, right? And through this process, of course, there's going to have to be some major reviews, right? But as far as changing the witness changing what he changing his testimony, I'm trying to figure out how someone going to say he changed his testimony. Were you privy to his testimony prior to?
Well, he changed his testimony. He was during cross-examination. He said that there was not an altercation under the tent, and he didn't witness an altercation. So I don't think that was something the defense was planning on. And clearly it didn't play well for this 12-person jury. Let me just ask you, can a black person ever just be convicted of killing a white person in this?
This shit is ludicrous, nigga. I mean, he is an obvious racist.
I need to hear what he finna say, though.
This shit is wild to me. I cannot believe he's about to ask this question.
This country without it becoming like a major race issue. Like some of the comments that you made outside the courthouse today, I don't know why you do that. You stir things up, you make it about race, and that could lead to rioting and protests and looting tonight. The bottom line is more people could get hurt. People could get hurt.
I'm glad that you will say that, why do we have to bring race in the situation? The reality is that if you know about this
I didn't
case,
say we, I said you. Why do you? Why do you, Dominic? Not the black race.
No, let me make this very clear. As the president of the largest human and civil rights organization in North Texas, what I witnessed on April 3rd was white people going on posts in social media calling Karmelo Anthony a thug, not a 4.0 GPA, not a person that
he's a convicted murderer tonight, so he's a thug. He's a thug. He's not a hero. He's not a hero.
Say a black man is bringing race, his race shouldn't have never been a factor. He shouldn't have never. Jake Lane, I don't see you calling out Jake Lane that said Karmelo Anthony should sit there and be hung from a tree and shot outside the Collin County Jail. I never brought race into this situation. We had to.
I didn't bring race into the situation either. You brought race into this when you made those comments that we played at the beginning of the segment, making this about race.
We have to make sure that due process is done. All we want is our rights and be afforded the same basic rights that everyone is afforded to, sir. And I'm sorry. if I gotta talk about my race to make sure that I can have the same afforded right that a white
Dominic, he had a fair trial, and you're certainly
and that's
open.
your
You can
opinion.
certainly
That's
appeal
your
that.
opinion.
But the
That's
last
your
time I
opinion.
checked, it's not legal for white people to stab black people in the state of Texas either.
Hey,
Dominic
happens all
Alexander,
the time.
appreciate you
Thank
being here. We got to leave it there.
Unbelievable. And then hung up in his face. Then you hung up in the nigga's face. Go
But
ahead.
it's okay to shoot unarmed protesters if you're white with a rifle. But that's okay though. It's okay to shoot an unarmed kid who's running from you in the back multiple times. But that's okay. It's okay to shoot a little girl who was said that was stealing, I think, a pack of fucking gum that she wasn't stealing. It was okay to shoot her though. It's okay because, and interesting to note, all of these stories that I'm just mentioning, the people were never charged in any of those. It was justified when the victim is black. When the victim is not black, that's when all of the bleeding hearts come into. And let me say this, and I think this is I think a part of this that's also disturbing for a lot of us. And when I say us, it's those who have been on the fence, and I say that legitimately. You know, trying to do what we were taught,
Mm-hmm.
trying to live by the standards we were given, being a
Like Karmelo.
upstanding
Family.
individual,
Right.
getting good grades. And I was thinking about Karmelo today, and one of the things that came to mind was this. I said, it's interesting because they won't understand, people of color understand what our scenario looks like and what our situation looks like. But people outside of our diaspora don't. So it's hard for them to understand what goes into what it is when we say about being a living while black. It's hard for them to truly understand that. And one of the thoughts was, it's like, I was talking to my son and I was telling him, he said some word and I corrected him. And I said, no, it's not can you, it's may I.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something else that he said later. And then I had a flashback to when my grandmother used to correct me. It's not X, it's ask. You have to learn how to articulate words. And you have to know how to articulate them well. Well, that's not because she had aspirations of her grandson going on to college and getting multiple degrees. That was not what that was for. It didn't dawn on me until recently. With his case, 3.7 GPA, has no issues to talk about. Matter of fact, the young man who got killed by Rick Chow, Cyrus, they brought up the fact that he had a picture with a gun in his hand. Although Austin also had pictures with guns in his hands.
Mm.
But that's forgotten about in his case.
Mm-hmm.
Austin also knew karate. Multiple years. Austin also used to whoop his dad's ass.
Mm-hmm.
That was never talked about either.
A history of violence.
He has a legit, and I'm not allegedly shit.
Right.
That's confirmed.
Yeah.
He has a history of violence, but that's okay. So when he goes and he is the aggressor, clearly the small, skinny black kid, he had to be the problem. So what I was getting to was this. I said, I was thinking about it, and I said, man, I'm guilty of loving my child enough to try to correct them so that they would be fucking accepted in white people's fucking spaces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
I tell them, articulate yourself well, because it's not for those amongst our community. We can talk the way we want to fucking talk. It doesn't matter because we're not evaluated by ourselves. Matter of fact, it's not life and death. But
Right.
when it comes to you dealing with them, it can become life and death
You gotta
based
clean
on
up.
how you
You gotta clean
articulate
up.
yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
based on how you enunciate.
It makes me think of you can't have an ethnic name. It can't be too. Why is your name that way? Why is it spelled? That's another thing. Our name needs to fit so it'll look good on a resume.
It looks good on a resume. That's how we
That's how we live our lives. So
are
we'll look
brought
good on
up,
a resume.
so that you can
Who
hopefully,
don't give a fuck, really? They don't give a fuck.
yeah,
They do not.
so you can hopefully get a good job, and you can hopefully follow, kind of move under the radar, and don't rock the boat too much, and don't be too exceptional, because if you stand out too much, you bring too much attention. How many
You
times
do
have
all
we
of
had
that
to play
and still
ourselves
don't
down?
get paid the same. Still
Oh
don't
no,
get.
never don't.
Yeah, it's
As a
still.
matter of fact, what was interesting is because in light of this, Trump was saying this, and again, I'm going to mention this only briefly because this was only one point I was making about this. Was he mentions this recently, and he says, "Yeah, we're doing great. We're going to bring back the black jobs, and we're doing wonderful with black jobs, and black unemployment is through the roof as far as the percentages, right?" But here's what he says though. You got to listen. He says, "Man, when we get these manufacturing plants."
Oh gosh. Oh, thanks a lot. So that's the jobs we good enough for.
Because that's what they see you as.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was only that statement, maybe you could ignore that. But then they double down because the truth of the matter is, look at all the black women who are the most educated in this society by populace, and the shit ain't even close. Most educated by populace, black women. Yet, look at how many of them got removed when this shit started. I know some personally that lost their job when he got in,
Mm-hmm.
because then it was DEI,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then we also know by facts, DEI did not do that for us. We didn't benefit from that. The point of the matter is this. If you consider all of these things, and we got to stop lying to ourselves. And I think this is what it comes down to. As melanated people, as people of color, as who are the salt of the earth, we can no longer allow others to have that much power over who, what, when, where, why, and how we administrate our lives. We cannot. We can no longer. Playing by these rules, it's why our children are no longer safe. I also want to say this, though, because it's something, this was and this is going to be a can of worms potentially, but this is also to black women. I believe a lot of these stories now are aimed at you. I don't believe that they're just solely aimed at the male or just the black diaspora in general. No, I believe it's black women. Because if you listen to what was said in there's an article that was out about the Project 2025. And there's a subsection in Project 2025 that talks about the research that was done or about the black family and how the black family was able to make it through previously, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a white guy who was a part of this, who actually he studied his undergrad and his graduate degree was on black theory. So he actually went to school to learn black folks. He's a part of that Project 2025 memorandum that went out. And in this, he highlights how the black family was able to make it. What I started to notice about that, I said, well, why would you go and find him to be a part of this mandate that you're trying to push out, just trying to create this new reality? And I understand consultation, and I understand why you do consult with people. You consult with experts in different fields because they have information that you're not privy to. And you can now consult with them, gain information and insight into whatever that field is, and prepare yourself to do whatever you need to do. Well, in this case, I said, well, now isn't that interesting? Because all that we're seeing happening is a legitimate attack on black people across the board. But I also think there's a major attack aimed at black women. Because in these two cases alone, the thing that's standing out to me is mothers, your children are no longer safe unless I say so. And what did that shit remind me of instantly was back in slavery time. How did they do what they did then? You emasculate the male, you remove him out of the scenario. He cannot protect you. He is not your protector. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one that can protect you. So I need you to do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to raise your children in the way that I say do them. I need you. And as long as you're doing what I say do, then maybe your children will be saved. But outside of that, they won't be. You're forgetting your place. Your place is beneath me,
Mm-hmm.
says the insecure man. I don't know, but I don't believe in coincidences. And when I'm looking at the data and I'm seeing the things that are coming out and the things that are consistently being unveiled, and actually that piece about how black women are highly educated, but yet a lot of them, a huge percentage of black women were removed from positions. There's a young black girl here. She's in this conservation group. Was the only black person a part of the whole conservation. They wrote her whole position out instantly. But yet they want to do. Then they wanted to do all these initiatives to kind of get out because they were mandated to do these initiatives for other communities. Because why are there no black people a part of this, whatever? But the one black person that you had, and she's got a great following online, the whole 9 yards, but you fired her. And then they tried to bring her back and blah, 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 blah. But again, this is what I'm saying, though. I honestly think that there's something here. And I think the answer, though, is it's actually simpler than what we're making it. But this goes back to what I've been saying for a minute now. I no longer believe that the answer is kumbaya, let's all work this shit out together. I don't believe that because the problem is that in order for that to happen, you have to have people that are all within the same level. The way that things are structured now and the way that they're spinning these stories is you have all of these other population groups are not being affected the way that this one is. Asian children are not being murdered in this country. White children are not being murdered unjustly, right? You have all these other population groups, Indian kids. You have all these other things that are going on, and they're not being directly affected enough to cause them alarm. But the larger issue at play is actually much bigger than all of that. But I believe that the answer for us, really, truth be told, is it's time though. That decision that was made, and there's multiple decisions that need to be made. There is no such thing as I'm just gonna go along to get along. I don't believe that that works
So what
anymore.
does that? So and we're gonna wrap it up after this. But what does at the end of the day, revolting, or I don't know if that's what you're saying, violence.
No,
I don't know what is the. So what are you going to do? What I mean from to break it down to an individual person, like I agree that the whole Yogi put it in the chat earlier. We're just gonna march, and it's gonna just like we've done every other story. We just keep going. But what does that look like on an everyday basis for the average person below poverty level? And the only reason I'm saying below poverty level is I'm saying just who's living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not quitting my job. I'm not revolting. I already don't vote because I don't give a fuck, because I don't believe in this system. I don't have money to move out of the country. I don't have a yard, so I'm not growing and I'm saying this devil's advocate. I'm thinking for what does that look like?
it's very simple.
What does that look like? 30
It's
seconds.
very simple.
Okay, go ahead.
You have to love what you see in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love that.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot despise it. You cannot look at it and say that, oh, it's this, that, it's less than, it should be lighter, it should be brighter. It's not about that. You have to love what you see in the mirror, number one. And secondly, you have to love others. And what I'm saying is not as simple as, I'm not just talking on some kumbaya shit. That's not what I'm talking about. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But I need you to hear and understand what I'm really actually saying. You have to, that image that we see is the one that we need to love the most.
Mm-hmm.
When that changes,
Mm-hmm.
you're no longer alone, nor are you separated. You're separated now. You're individualized now. You're easy to pick off. If you watch National Geographic for 10 minutes, watch killer orca whales, watch what they do. Watch predators, watch what they
So you're
do.
saying we need to come together. So you're saying you need to love yourself, and we need to come together. What so let's say I love myself. I'm just using me because I'm just following what I'm saying. So you love yourself and you love your neighbor. And your neighbor, I mean the black person sitting next to you, at work or whatever. You guys stand together, at work, or whatever your situation is. Okay, then what's next? What does that mean? What? Because I'm trying to get to, if we're not,
Let me say something.
what do we do
Let me
about
say
what
something.
happened today
When
with
when you and
Carmelo?
I get together, we don't plan what we talk about,
Yeah, right,
right?
right.
We're already connected.
Mm-hmm.
So all it takes is for us to be in each other's presence and things begin to just magically happen. Whether it's conversation topics or points or something I have been thinking about or something you think, whatever the case may be, it comes. We don't have to practice that. We don't have to wonder or how, when, where. I also know that if I need to talk about something, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And what do? You don't spend time going around the mulberry bush. Let's get to the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's organically there. It's not something that's able to be, um, it's not something that it's tangible but intangible at the same time. What I'm talking about though is that when we're still separated. What I believe this is happening for, though, is it's causing us to look at each other differently, because it's causing us to see, man, we all we got out here, right? And what that's creating, on the other hand, is it's creating a galvanization. So you ask the question, so hey, so what do we do then after that? Listen, trust and believe that's going to be a byproduct of what takes place when you get together and that collective energy begins to pool
Don't be so
all this
easily
time.
divided. Like, don't. I feel like we're easily divided. I know, like for me personally, um, I don't show other black people grace. So I feel like for me, when I think about, you know, what does this look like for me? Someone who is like every man for themselves, you know, you're ghetto. I just can't take it, or I hate when you talk like that, or just disparaging, against your own people. Quick to judge, you know, and I'm using these as examples, or some black people think you're better than. I send my kids to a white school. Because you send your kids to a white school, that's better than sending them to. And I'm thinking on a bigger scale, right? Or I gotta shop in these areas because but the truth is, unfortunately, like when I was gonna use this next example, the truth is, unfortunately, if I go over here and buy my produce where the white people shop at, I get better quality. I hate to do it, but if I go to Save a Lot, okay, my lettuce is not gonna be like if I go over here. You know what I'm saying? I hate that for me, because if
Mm,
I'm on a journey to be a better version of myself, then I don't want to hear you niggas say, "Well, go grow your own." No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm not growing my own. I don't know how. I can't even keep a plant alive. Don't say nothing true. Okay, so all I'm saying is, I mean, I don't know, but where can I start? Me personally, right? For me, I'm like, cut the shit. Show your own people grace, and better yet, when you were growing up, if when you had your family, right? You and your brother, or even me, even right? We knew when you get outside, it's you against them, nigga. Now, what you niggas do
always.
once you get in this house and go head up, that's one thing. But once you step out this motherfucker, you motherfuckers that you leave together, you come back together, right? So that's an example of what you're saying, like the solidarity of it all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because we're stronger together, and it's like you in front of these motherfuckers, in front of white folks, we need to look solid. Even if you may not totally agree with what's going on over here with your people, for now, nigga, pretend. And then you niggas go have a meeting afterwards and figure out, now, bitch, you shouldn't have said, you shouldn't have wore you. Fix your wig. It's cockeyed. Okay? But you didn't say it in front of these people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm going to show my people more grace. I'm going to start with me, like you said. I'm going to show myself more grace. And then I'm going to let it work its way out and give my people more grace. Because when it came to Karmelo Anthony, that was one of the first things I said. Why the fuck does he even have a knife there? Why do you have a knife? Like, this would have never happened if you didn't have a knife. That was my very first reaction. You know what I'm saying? So busy
Mm-hmm.
trying to be neutral and trying to be fair and all that, when the truth is, fuck that. Lean this way first and figure out, you know what I'm saying? Give this nigga the benefit of the doubt and then work the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got enough shit on their side already working for them. They don't need me. They
Yeah.
don't need me.
I mean, and it sounds, on some, like I said, it sounds like it's kumbaya, but it's not. what it is, it's you have to repair the foundation. And what we're having to see now is the clear, the ugly truth of what it is that we're experiencing. The beauty of it is usually typically on the other side of this, though. But right now, it is ugly because we didn't want to believe it. We knew it was there. We were hoping that we didn't have to address it because you know what this is really like? It's like those secrets in families.
Mm.
We know that uncle was wild and he did some really dirty shit, but
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to really talk about what the fuck he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the wounds just keep going down the line until someone eventually says something. But then usually that person sometimes is met with resistance when they do say something. Until what happens is everything tends to break apart. But eventually, if the processes are done correctly, then when they do mend, they mend stronger.
Mm.
That's no difference than what happens with our bodies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Something can break and it can come back stronger than it was before, but there has to be care taken. There has to be some intentionality done with that. So when we have all of these things going on, and I see this, and it's stuff that we didn't want to acknowledge and we knew, and we have quite a few people, man. We've got generations of people who have been judged incorrectly, judged harshly, went to jail for these long, exorbitant amounts of time, and you hear a little bit there, you hear a little bit there, blah, blah, blah. But we're able to kind of just ignore a lot of it and act like it doesn't exist. Well, we're not able to do that any longer because that veil has been lifted. And now the truth is being shown that here's what the underbelly of what it is that you are worshiping.
Yeah.
Here's who you're serving. Here's the people that you're sacrificing for. Here's the entity that you're giving everything to. Here is what it actually is. And fuck what it looks like to other people who don't see the underbelly of it. Doesn't matter. If they want to if they're still sitting there looking on the top half and see only to see the glitz and the glamour and don't realize that underneath this motherfucker is poisonous, then that's until time for them. But when you know, you can't continue to act like you don't know. So I love that statement you made. We're sending our kids to white institutions. I had a conversation with an educator recently and I said, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep subjecting our children to it?
Yeah.
I don't want my children around these motherfuckers like that
Yeah.
no more.
Yeah.
No, because I have to undo all the shit that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
now
you know what that comes, but what comes with that is I don't want my child to have to go to the white schools in the white neighborhoods in the affluent areas, right? Eh, be- to
Yep,
get an
yep,
education, okay?
yep.
But I'm gonna flip that token. We have to do better at being able to provide the services that my child needs, because I'm not going to send my child here to this school and your test scores are trash. You guys are fighting, and these are stereotypes, but again, this is a lot behind this because I have to make, but there has to be a middle of the road. Like I feel like I was blessed for Josh to be able to go in a place that was like middle of the road, right? And that was like on accident. No, I don't believe it was accident, but whatever. Versus, someone else who just thought these schools are more expensive, these are nicer, these are better, right? Just because it's like, no, but then your child's missing the culture. Like they're getting this phantom education that you think is going to provide them this wonderful life, and they're still going to be treated like shit after you done pay for them to go here and get all these degrees that these people said you need to have, and they're still not going to choose you. Or if they do, it's going to come with stipulations. Is that the right word? It's going to come with
Yeah.
all these rules and shit that you're gonna need to do A, B. I mean, it's so fucked up. That's why I wish we did have our own little community. And I'm with you when you said, and then we really got to go right now. But I'm with you when you said it's like I just wish there was a separation. Like I want my own shit. I want to be able to go over here with my people and do me, and we do us over here. But I'm asking my people, if I come over here and we do us, can you please have some decent options? Don't subject me to subpar options because I'm over here with your ass.
You know what I think that's really boiling down to now, though? And I don't want to say this, but it just needs to be said.
Yeah. What?
I was always taught that when you see something that's out of place, it's because you have an answer for it. It's not the next person. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the things that register for me when I'm out and I'm with kids, or I see children or people or interactions, character stands out to me. Character is what I harp on the most with my children. It's all character driven.
Yeah.
99% of the shit I'm talking about has everything to do with character. Stop all the finessing. There's no need. Keep it a buck. What is it? What do you need? Let's work and let's figure it out. But you don't have to finesse. You don't have to play these games. Don't butter up all that other shit, right? But because I'm always aimed at character. I say that to say it's because I have an answer for those things. There's a lot of shit it doesn't occur to me because I don't have an answer for it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: we don't feel like we have the time to do that. So it becomes easier for me to say, let me send my kid instead of let me go with my kid. That's two different mentalities. That's not a knock on you, right?
Well,
Or
with
it's not a
you mean
knock.
you mean what do you mean? Okay, okay.
To
I can
go
go down
with
the rabbit
means
hole.
I partner with that process.
Oh,
To
okay.
send means you do.
Yeah.
If I send an order in, y'all prepare it, give it back.
Yeah.
If I go to prepare the order, I'm with the process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this process. And I think that's the part we're going to have to do in order to rebuild everything that we need to rebuild. But they're going to try to keep us busy. And they try to keep us distracted and busy.
Yeah.
With all this other shit so that, hey, inflation is up. You're not making much more. But hey, here's this overtime. So let's get you out the house even more.
Right.
So that you can feel like, just so you can feel like you're making just enough to keep your head above water. While the meantime, I'm robbing your coffers blind. I'm robbing everything around you blind.
Just stay
And
from over at
you
they
don't have anything to say about it because you're too busy numbed.
Keep your kids from out of their school, please. Please do your best. Don't let them go over their house. Don't.
Listen,
Just
I'm gonna say this.
please. That's all I'm saying. Just watch your babies. Can't
My
trust.
son is 6 and he's beautiful. He made a casual statement to me about not wanting to get too dark. Where in the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
He's 6.
Right.
Why in the fuck would that message be there? So we can act like this shit is coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can get our head out our ass, realize what we realize, lick our wounds, heal, come together, strengthen, and do real shit. But even in that process, which means you're going to have to stand on business,
Yeah.
which means that you're going to have some Carmelo Anthony's. That's going to be a part of the process.
Yeah.
Because Carmelo Anthony, shit,
Poor
that's no
baby.
different than Nat Turner.
When they showed that baby crying, man, that was fucked up, boy. I
Mm.
just couldn't imagine when that mama was up there and he was crying. You know, I just think of me and Josh. You know, it's like I just couldn't imagine, you know, Josh being such a good kid and then you know that happening and you
And
know
you
the child
know,
doesn't deserve to be in no jail for 35 years and he's never even been in trouble. I couldn't imagine Josh going to jail now and the nigga's 28. I'm
and
like, oh my
imagine
god,
him
he's gonna be my
saying,
baby. He's not built for this. At
um,
28, this nigga
and
said,
imagine him just saying, Mom, it was just one mistake.
and then not only that,
Even if
you
that was the
weren't
case.
speaking any, you weren't doing. Listen, it just doesn't. This wasn't right all the way around from beginning to end. The boy could be wherever he wanted to be. If Josh said, "I want to go sit over here," I may say, "Now, why the fuck you want to go sit over there with them niggas? Look at them. Why you want to go over there? You don't have no friends over here." You know, I might say that, but it don't matter. If he said, "Mom, I want to sit over here," he has the right to go sit over there. Period. And none of you motherfuckers have the right to tell him he can't sit there. That's giving some old you can't drink out this fountain type shit. That's what that's giving. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, they coming right up to you and telling you to move. You can't drink there. Go over there. And then you do pull a Rosa Parks, I'm not moving type shit or whatever. You see what I'm saying? It's just
Hmm.
repeating itself. And then, you know, it's like it's a new day. But anyway, we gotta go. How long did
So
you
let me go ahead and answer this question.
I didn't see it.
There's a lot of parents that we have, and someone else might see this and may have to deal with this as well. So my approach to that is twofold. I make a mental note. I'll put a pin in it. Okay, here's something, and I'm devoting my intellectual, emotional, spiritual resources. Come on, ancestors, God, spirit, the whole nine yards. I need an understanding and insight into him so that how do I communicate to him in the best way that he understands? So I know he likes fruit, but what do we know about fruit and complexion? We know that the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. What we also know is that the darker the vegetable, typically the more dense, the more nutritious it is. The lighter those things are, the typically they have less nutritional value across the board, right? Now, so what I'm doing is I'm finding things within his arena. You know, watermelon. I like watermelon. A really good watermelon typically is going to have a darker hue to it on the inside. That flesh is going to be darker, right? So using those things to help kind of trigger this thought to counter this thing, idea that the darker your skin, the word versus being looked at as the worst is that, well, that's melanin. And then that's going to lead me into the conversations about melanin, which is, I think he's a little bit young for melanin, the full reality of it, but reaching the subject, kind of getting the ideas out there floating around. Cause that's where I'm going with the vegetables and things of that nature. But what I told him directly in that moment though, I said, son, you're beautiful, man. I absolutely love your skin. And that's why I talked to him and said, man, we always take care of our skin. I said, because this is one of the most beautiful aspects of you. Because this is what people see. That's what reflects who you are. So we have to be mindful about that. And it's unnecessary. Uh, we shouldn't have to, but we do because we have to counter that. Otherwise, we know what that turns into. We know that can lead you down the road of being that bitch ass attorney who took the case instead of just saying, nah, fuck that. I'm not
Yeah,
finna
that's
take
a
this case.
perfect example. I wish we
I'm not finna take this case. Nah, somebody else can do it.
and for
That's too
something to
close to
fall for
home for
anything.
me.
That's what they say.
Yeah. That's too close. But instead he said, nah, I'm gonna make this money.
Yeah.
Because this is a high paying client right here.
Yeah. High
And I'm
profile.
representing this firm and I represent this firm. So I've sold my soul to this firm.
Do anything for clout. That's what they say. People do
So
anything for clout.
nevertheless, that I think is a way to address it. I'm sure there are many other ways, but for me is I'm zeroed in on what makes him tick. So whatever's in his environment, that I see what makes him go. Cars, he loves cars, and I'm correlating right depth to value, which then speaks to the depth of your skin tone, correlates to value. There is a correlation there. There's a direct correlation to that. There's a direct correlation to nature with the depth of your skin tone. But who really knows that? Not many people. It's not taught in your grade schools, but it is legitimate. It's a legitimate. Oh God, it's late. Hold on. Thank God she didn't catch it. It is legitimized. So let's keep it pushing. But anyway, that's just the ways I approach it. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I wondered that too. But here's what I know is that these kids, they're watching YouTube. These kids are in school. These messages are reinforced with how Black kids get treated. I went on a field trip with him. He has a white teacher. I've had a few great white teachers. I'm not knocking all of them. But what I do know is I will prefer him to be around others. Because what typically happens in a lot of those environments is that Black kids get singled out, especially when they're in the minority within that group. So what I'm just sitting there watching, and I'm seeing how particularly one kid gets singled out. I watch how he got singled out, not while I was there, because daddy will get into his shit. But I know my son likes to talk, because I do. And she was talking to me about that. But I made it very clear to her, I will not silence him. There are ways that you can redirect him, but we will not silence him. That ain't happening. So anyway, she didn't have no more complaints about him talking too much in school after that conversation, but she's had moved him to a different desk as a punishment because he's too talkative. And then she realized that even the quiet kids that don't talk, well, he can get them to talk because the nigga's gifted. So the point of the matter is this, I think, is it's too many things that could have happened, and too many ways and too many doorways that message can slip in that I am familiar with. So rather than that, I'm just going to deal with him and how he makes sense of the world around him. Because fuck what they telling you. Know what you need to know. And that's the message we give to our kids. Fuck what they saying. Know what you need to know. Like you said, hey, what y'all do in this house, what y'all do, when y'all get outside, y'all niggas is together. Y'all leave together, you come back home together. It's y'all against them. Yeah. That's the reality of what it means to be Black and raising your kids in an unhealthy or unsafe environment. That's what that means. You teach them. You have to teach them. Your value is greater than what they say it is on the outside. Know that. But listen, man, it's beautiful. I don't know if she's still there. No, she actually dipped out. Thank y'all for coming, man. It is always a pleasure. to see you guys and be here. I know tonight was a little bit longer than our normal. It's a very touchy subject. We still didn't even get into all the other information that came out about this. There was shit that I wanted to talk about as it relates to noticing the silence of those that we look up to and that we patronize, right? And when I say that, I mean as far as the things that we support. We support a lot of different things. We support a lot of entities. But do those entities actually support you? So when you're hurting as a Black mother and you're watching this story and then you don't see your story represented in any of these other areas, you don't hear this person talking about it, or you didn't hear that person say anything about it, nor did they say anything about it. And you consistently keep noticing that nobody, all these other areas that you value, they don't seem to show or reflect that they have a value for you. And I believe that that is a telltale, and I believe that we have to do something about that. And we cannot take that sitting down. We can no longer ignore that and act like it did not happen. No, it's happening right in front of our face every single day. They're not choosing to be silent because they don't have a voice or they didn't know about the story. No. More often than not, they've chosen to be silent because it does not help them make money. They're incapable. Most churches, 501c3 shit. They can't talk about that presidential shit. They can't talk about all that because they'll lose their designation as a nonprofit because you get involved in that. That's just another way to keep people silent. There's some new legislation that's in the pipeline I wanted to talk about as it relates to all of this, as it relates to how it is that we need to move forward. I believe this internet space is about to get censored too. I believe all this shit's about to get censored. All this is getting to the
Oh, you
point
know it
where,
is.
oh yeah, it's getting censored. There's
It's already.
streamlining. That story you told about that lady who didn't know about Karmelo Anthony.
Oh,
Well,
right.
here's what's interesting. I've never once put his name in any search engine, but yet I know all about him, which means that the algorithm is feeding me this information, but the
Right.
algorithm is not feeding her that.
Uh-huh.
So she's not aware of the plight of all these other people that are around her. But
Right.
yet we would assume that she would be, which is a great tactic to keep motherfuckers divided. I'm telling you,
So we gotta keep each
the
other in
CIA
too.
devoted billions.
You see what's going on with Don Lemon? Okay, so we gotta go for real. But you see him, Don Lemon. Listen, Don Lemon stood for something. I didn't really know who Don Lemon was before all this shit. I mean, I've heard of his name,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a good example of a Black man, even though he's got a white husband. He still stands in his blackness. He makes no qualms about it.
Hey, he better than a whole lot of them heterosexual motherfuckers
With the
with
same
white
race,
wives.
even
He
with
a he a thousand. I take Don Lemon over all them
he
motherfuckers
said fuck
because don't
all.
none of them niggas don't talk about shit.
Let me tell you something. Listen. He said fuck all the mainstream media, and he said the same thing. The way it is, the information is fed. If only we knew. If only we knew. And he feels the best, and he has it now, where he can do his own topics, and all that, and he gets donations and all that, and so he's making a good living for himself on his own, on YouTube and this other social media for now, versus mainstream media like the CNNs and all of that, because he's like, I just couldn't do it. Like I mean, he got fired, didn't he? But it was like a
Yeah.
blessing in disguise. But the point is, he was like, oh, he was telling other journalists when he got arrested. He was like, you motherfuckers need to stand up and report real shit. Get down there, get dirty, go where they don't want you to go. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to listen, because he said all that shit is controlled. So they can only say so much. It's not, they can't say what they really think. They can't ask questions they want to ask. All of that shit is controlled. But the only reason made me think about that because you said about media being censored. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, so listen, we have a lot to do together.
Yes, Susan, we'll be back.
And yes, we will be back next week. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
And we will. So we will definitely be back. I told you this is Wednesday number 1. We have 3 more Wednesdays. We're gonna give it our all. We're gonna have conversations. I'll be here with
She's speaking for herself.
7:30. No, 7:30 Pacific time. And we'll have topics, and some of them won't be so heavy. Who knows? We'll just do whatever the fuck we want to do. I'm really trying to shoot for an hour, you guys, but sometimes shit happens. It is what it is. It's all good. But anyway, okay, Dynamics, thank you guys for coming, and we love y'all for real, even on the replay.
Yeah, love y'all, man, and thank y'all again for being a part of the growth.
Yes, sir. All right, good night, guys.